Captain's log. Stardate 298-995-65556-556-575-555. The Enterprise has been lost in the Gamma Quadrant for over 16 days. Our supplies are holding, and so is our hope for rescue. Ugh! Excuse me. Data's programming has become increasingly erratic. He just told me that I'm both malding and a cringe lord. The nonsense that he speaks seems to have no coherence whatsoever. Wait a moment. What does that sound? Anyways, setting aside the data issue, we have rationed supplies enough to hold out. Sounds like a creature. Oh no. What is that you, Riker? No. It can't be. No. No! Dead Space. I'm dying. That's right. We're talking about the Dead Space Remake today. Let's set the scene. 2008, Dead Space comes out. 3 years previously, we had Resident Evil 4, and it changed video games. A very popular video game.
Wow, it's amazing!
But Dead Space was something different. No more ballistic missiles.
I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics too.
No!
No more bingo.
Where's everyone going? Bingo? No!
This game had one goal. Make you poop while still wearing your pants. Its one job was to freak you the heck out, and it took its job very seriously. Fast forward to 2023, not only did we get a Resident Evil 4 remake,
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
No!
but we got a Dead Space remake as well, and it posed an interesting dilemma. Turns out my two favorite horror games are both remakes of my previous two favorite horror games. Why is that a dilemma? Because it feels like that calls into question my authenticity as a games enjoyer. Am I just beholden to nostalgia? Am I just being baited by my brain chemistry firing off dopamine receptors? When memories of times past are triggered. Chrono triggered. That's what people will lead you to believe. That you're a lesser fan if you like the remake. That you're no longer authentic in your fandom. But do I really care about what people think, though? Because both of these pieces of media are astoundingly quality. But which one do I prefer of the two remakes? The answer to that question would easily be Resident Evil 4, but which one of these is a better horror game? The answer to that question would just as easily be Dead Space. The lighting and sound design alone would be a good horror game. We're talking about the Dead Space remake now. No enemies, no fighting, no weapons. It delivers an unforgettably dire scenario. Just existing in the world of Dead Space is a raw nerve. A mind stretched beyond sanity. Tension and atmosphere. The world of this colony-sized spaceship is constantly telling you a story. And the far and away winner in this storytelling is the lighting. despite the fact that the game is almost entirely comprised of brutally industrial hallways. The lighting dramatically changes the feeling of the space. Even small things like with this flashlight. When you're looking at something far away, it's all spill. But as you point it to an object that is closer, you get the hotspot and the spill. Incredible attention to detail on the lighting. The most powerful tool added to the video game arsenal in today's era is lighting. And the team that made this remake understood that perfectly. You match the sound design and the lighting and you have an absolute fiesta of fear. Oh wow, that's a pretty stupid alliteration. A great example of this atmosphere, this lighting, and this sound design is when you step out into the vacuum of space. All you can hear is your breathing and your heartbeat. And everything looks muted and gray, like the life has been sucked out of it. And you walk in silence. Almost silence. They added a little sound design touches to try to keep you in the experience. The lighting and the sound design and the setting, all incredible horror atmosphere. And then you add the enemies.
These things mold any dead tissue into a new form. One kind infects corpses, and the rest...
Make more corpses to infect.
Alone on a massive spaceship, but you're not alone. The whole crew is there, ready to embrace you. Now that you're here, you can make them whole again. This game really does it. It captured that feeling I had in 2008 when I first played Dead Space. That tightness in my chest, that feeling like I'm never safe. Suddenly I'm that teenager again, eyes wide, heart beating fast like a wild beast. Now why would anyone want any of that? Why do you want your heart to beat like a wild beast? Why do you want to be afraid in a video game? That is a good question that I don't really know the answer to. I personally hate horror movies. They make me feel grotesque inside, to the point where I've walked out of movies with friends. Is that embarrassing? Yeah, kind of embarrassing, but it's just a fact, and it illustrates really how bad I hate horror movies. But horror video games? Wowza, I love me some Dead Space. But like I said in my Resident Evil video, things like Outlast, super no, way out, super grossy, McGross no, get out of my life. I loved it then, I love it now. It's brutal, it's intense, it's nerve-wracking, and I love every second of the dang thing. Well, maybe not every second. If they could swear less, that would be great. Wait a second. In this grotesque body horror, insanely graphic video game, your issue is that they're swearing too much? Yeah, kinda. Okay, that's kind of my issue. I already talked about this in my Resident Evil 4 video. Shameless plug. Just, like, subscribe, go watch the Resident Evil video. The reason I love horror games and hate horror movies is because a horror video game I'm afraid, I'm nervous, but I'm destroying my source of fear. I'm overcoming my nerves, and I'm walking away with victory. I love the tension because I know there is release. A good horror game riddles you with tension, but as you come out on top, fills you with relief.
Quarantine lifted.
Though Dead Space, more so than a lot of games, keeps you tightly wrapped in a blanket of disquiet and unease. Like a little baby, like a little baby all swaddled up with disquiet and unease. Mother, I hate this blanket. Get it off of me. You think to yourself, this storeroom surely is safe. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not safe. Astounding atmosphere in this game. I keep talking about the sound design. It's frankly on another level. It's totally wild and absolutely effective. The music is also wildly effective. There's no enemies here. Why did those violins start playing? Why are they playing? Great music. Great music. A total win from Trevor Garricus on this soundtrack. The soundtrack heightens the atmosphere greatly. Then you combine the totally creepy, totally freaky music and the sound design. Another great example of atmosphere. A few times in the game, you need to restore power to one of the ship's systems, which occasionally means removing power from another system. Do I turn off the life support or the lights? Turning off life support means limited oxygen supply that I have to constantly refill. But turning the lights off means I don't have lights and there's monsters. But you gotta make a choice, and I chose the lights. This is amazing. You are the instrument of your own fear. You have to choose to create the terror. This is so flipping great. I can barely express it. Part of that relief that I was talking about from the tension of the horror is the absolute joy it is to use these sci-fi weapons. Gravity-tethered saw blades, plasma cutters, beam traps, flamethrowers. Look at how crazy the lighting is with the flamethrower. Pulse gun. That's just like a normal gun. But the force gun? That just blasts enemies with a wave of pure force. It literally strips their skin off. That is gross. And insane. Then its secondary fire is to make this psychotic looking gravity well. Use the line gun to set laser traps. Stasis this giant monstrosity, then lay a carpet of flames. Voila, Korean barbecue. I seem to have created a diabolical unicorn. Flames burn through the darkness, almost as blinding as the dark itself. But the real star of the show is the contact beam. This thing is some sci-fi weapon gold. The primary fire is this gnarly sounding beam attack. And the secondary fire is this charge up beam surface explosion. It's crazy when it's not upgraded, but when it is upgraded. Combine these two guns' secondary fires. Absolute sci-fi weapon joy. Using kinesis to launch pipes or fan blades, or even pieces of a necromorph. Or these conveniently placed explosives.
Very convenient.
Very convenient.
A good game gives you choices. A great game gives you freedom. Okay, maybe Dead Space doesn't have that much freedom, but it gives you a lot of options. Not only does each weapon get an alternate fire, but you've got stasis and kinesis, and the best weapon of all, your boots. You don't have ammo, but you played Gears of War, and so you desperately start trying to enact your best Gears of War impression. This is survival horror at its finest. This Stomp is probably the greatest horror video game move in history. It really encapsulates the Dead Space experience entirely. It's desperate, visceral, and intense, and that brings me back to the sound design. It sounds meaty and squishy. Gunnar Wright is the voice actor for Isaac, and he goes off on these moments when you're stomping. Here are the stomps with just the vocals. The addition of these desperate yells and screams from Gunnar Wright just make the stomp complete, and it would not be the same without them. In the original Dead Space, Isaac had no voice lines, but he expressed a lot of emotion. They retained that experience in this game and gave him actual human voice lines. That's a double win. Just his breathing alone is intense and gives you insight into Isaac's emotions. Here's this crazy tentacle scene with just the vocals. No sound effects. It's awesome, and it's crazy, and it's totally faithful to that original experience. Segue to a different topic. A fun fact about me. I love the sci-fi of sci-fi. What? Space.
The final frontier.
Airlocks.
Entering vacuum.
Beam weapons. And Dead Space is just great sci-fi. Yes. I frequently thought to myself when I played the original Dead Space, if they could make a Star Trek game with as great sci-fi as Dead Space, this isn't it. This is not it. This isn't it. Yes, this is it.
stabilizer. There, the blue light. It might slow us down.
That would be one of the greatest games to ever game. But the real reason that Dead Space has stuck with me for so long and still is incredible to this day is the HUD. Or rather, the lack of it. There is no overlay in Dead Space of any kind. Everything functionally exists in the game. Your health bar is this blue indicator along Isaac's spine. Your stasis level, your ammo, all of it displayed in-world. Your inventory appears in a hologram screen in front of Isaac.
They look so real. It's totally real.
Communication with survivors, a map, objective markers. All of it exists in the world, and there is nothing to take you out of it. Look at how when Isaac is getting this psychic pain, the hologram stays wherever his head is pointing. If you hit exit, it pauses the game. None of this Dark Souls idiocy where even pulling up the systems menu doesn't pause the game. Why is that good game design? To increase tension? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Yes, you can't manage your inventory. Whoa, sorry. Ranting about Dark Souls is making my sickness worse. No HUD is simply the best HUD. It grounds the game completely. It's all there. It's all in the game. So the screen real estate is completely dedicated to the visual. And that gives you these incredible, beautiful, cinematic moments. No filter, no clutter, just you and the game and the cinematic vista that you're beholding or the horrifying tension you're experiencing. It's absolutely the best way to design a game. No HUD is best HUD, period. When I play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I play on quote, unquote, Pro HUD mode. Pro HUD, which is not the no HUD that I want, but it's pretty dang close. It only shows you your health if you get damaged, and only shows you your stamina if you're missing some, and everything else is banished to the shadow realm where it belongs. Removing the clutter makes a beautiful game that much more beautiful. Dang it, that's a pretty good argument for watching it a dub instead of a sub. Kyo, don't you dare use this against me in our sub versus dub debate. One of the new trends that I think is a great step forward, but really only a half step in my quest for destroying all HUDs, is to have the HUD fade away when you're not in combat, like God of War does. That's a good step. But the best HUD design ever in history, according to my aesthetic desires, is Dead Space. It was unbelievable in 2008, and it turns out, years later, people are still dumb at HUD design. So it remains my favorite ever HUD. No HUD overlay, but you do not sacrifice any of the information you need to be effective at playing the video game. Resident Evil 4 Remake, as a whole, is, in my opinion, the best horror game. That opinion hasn't changed since playing this Dead Space Remake. But Dead Space Remake simply has better horror. It is just Dead Space, but today. Resident Evil 4 is something else than the original. But this game is extremely faithful to the original. It just ramps things up to 11.
We are on an exponential curve.
The biggest difference is they got rid of the worst trope in all video games. The silent protagonist. That's right. Dead Space Original, Isaac, is role-playing as Link, or Chrono, or Gordon Freeman, or Doomguy, or Sims. Why do so many of my favorite games do this ridiculous trope? But in the Dead Space Remake, Isaac managed to escape this ridiculous conceit, and he actually speaks human words.
Cole,
There's so much I need to tell you.
Well, now that you're not a silent protagonist, you can tell her, Isaac. You can. Your main character having expressed thoughts? What a 21st century concept! It is a better game because Isaac speaks. Plain and simple. It's also a better game because lighting technology, sound design, graphical fidelity, animation quality, you name it. What a strange world we live in. My two favorite horror games both got a remake in the same year. And now their remakes are my two favorite horror games. Sure, Resident Evil 4 Remake is my favorite horror game, but if you want to poop while you're still wearing your pants, it's Dead Space that you should be playing. Hey, thanks for watching. If you thought it was a fun video, a crazy video, or if you just watched the video, consider hitting the like and the subscribe. Oh man, I am so sick. I've been sick for like a month. It's crazy. Thanks for watching, and boop.